Hello everybody, we are back after the FA Cup. How was the FA Cup for you? For me, it was terrible. Oxford were useless. Respect and treasure the FA Cup, we're told. Well, Oxford didn't respect or treasure it.
Sorry.
We're back to do week 27 of Championship predictions. I'm not sure why we had such a long break, but we've got some business to take care of before I can dive in to this weekend's games. There's a couple of midweek fixtures I just want to do predictions for, mainly because Oxford are playing, so let's dive into it. Let's start with those games on Tuesday and Cardiff versus Watford. I think Cardiff have turned it around and I'm going for a 2-0 win for the Bluebirds. Plymouth versus Oxford United. I am petrified of this game despite Oxford's recent good form, but I have to always go for an Oxford win. Nope, stop that, we'll do that later. So go for Plymouth 1, Oxford 2. And on Wednesday, I'm going to go for a home win for Blackburn Rovers over Portsmouth. I'm going for Blackburn 2. Portsmouth 0. There is also a shout out to give because somebody did get the Oxford versus Preston score, or Preston versus Oxford score correct, and has been bugging me for a shout out for ages. So congratulations to... There we go. Hope you enjoyed your shout out. It will be the last you ever get. So let's get down to some business. And if you're wondering why I picked Oxford to beat a side that's usually good at home like Plymouth, well, that's kind of the only rule I have to stick to. It's certainly not common sense or logic. It is the fact that I am a blind and biased Oxford fan. And the only rule I have to stick to is that golden rule. And that is Oxford always win. Maybe we will, and maybe we'll win this weekend. Maybe Ollie Romani will get a winner.
Who?
Yeah, I haven't heard of him either. But let's dive in to these predictions. Starting on Friday night with a massive game at the top of the table with Burnley versus Sunderland. It's second versus fourth, and there are only 3 points separating the top four now at the top of the Championship. It is looking like it is going to be a fantastic title race or promotion race as we head down the stretch. The thing that's leaping out at me and jumping out at me about this game is Burnley's defence. They've only conceded 9 goals so far this season. That is extraordinary considering we are over the halfway point, and that is why I am leaning towards the Clarets in this game. I can already feel the wrath of the Sunderland fans. I've had one person in the comments talking that I've got something against Sunderland. That's absolutely mad. But considering how much praise I gave them when they beat my Oxford United with ease. I have nothing against Sunderland, and if it makes you feel better, Sunderland fans, I do actually hope you are going to win this game, but I just don't think that you will, and I think Burnley are going to come away with a victory. Feel free to put the hate down in the comments all you want. It's just my opinion on the situation. I'm going to go for a Burnley 2, Sunderland 0. What I don't like is I actually applied a little bit of logic to that one. What's that all about? But let's move on to Saturday's games, and we start with a Wales derby of Cardiff City versus Swansea City. Not for the faint of heart, and I'm sure there will be plenty of tempers flared in this one. Rather annoyingly for me, I feel Cardiff City are going to win this game. They've kind of got their act together. They kind of, I felt like they hit rock bottom after they lost to Oxford on Boxing Day, and they really kind of turned their form around. Omar Reza looked like a dead man walking, but he's kind of started to get a tune out of this Cardiff City side. They got a good win in the Cup against Sheffield United as well. And Swansea are just floundering a little bit under Luke Williams, so I think that this all-Wales clash is going to go the way of the Bluebirds. I'm going to go, which is very, very frustrating from my point of view, I'm going to go for Cardiff City 2, Swansea 1. Plymouth Argyle versus QPR is up next. The Queen's Park Rangers are an extraordinarily tough side to beat. I can't believe they conceded so many goals against Leicester. Usually they are very, very tough to break down. And they come up against the Basement Boys, and Plymouth are a very different side, as I continue to say, at home as they are opposed to when they play away. Or that is what we thought. But that is what Plymouth rewrote when they got that fantastic victory against Brentford. Look at these celebrations, thoroughly deserved, long overdue joy on the road for the Pilgrims. New manager in place now, Miron Muslic. However you say it, I don't really know. I need to learn that. I do apologise. But hopefully, from my point of view, Plymouth are coming off the back of an away of a home defeat to my beloved Oxford United. But they will realistically be looking at 2 home games this week as a chance to breathe life into this campaign. But QPR are not an easy side to play against, and Plymouth don't win that many games. So I don't think they're going to win this one either, and I think this is going to end up a frustrating, for Plymouth's point of view, 1-1 draw. Coventry City versus Bristol City. Look, I am not a huge fan of Frank Lampard as a manager. I think he still needs to convince me quite a lot about his pedigree of being the Coventry boss. And I feel that Liam Manning's side are a lot stronger side than this Coventry City side, who continue to just underperform. And I don't feel that Lampard's got the ability to turn this side that's been underperforming into a side that's all of a sudden going to start shooting up the table. And I think this Bristol City side is going to go there and get a victory at the CBS Arena. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being too harsh on Big Frank there. But I think Liam Manning's boys are going to get the victory in this one. I'm going to go for a win for the Robins. Coventry City 1, Bristol City 2. Derby County versus Watford. This is a big game for Derby, who have been slipping down the table. They've got that embarrassment of Oxford even jumping above them in the league now. And so they just need that odd win just to kind of ease those fears that do creep in. But other than that, it's been a decent performance so far in the league, despite what Derby fans think about Paul Warne's football. But again, like a lot of sides, they are a much stronger side at home, at the baseball ground. I'm going to continue to call it that. And Watford are one of those sides that don't do that well away. And I also think maybe the bubbles burst a little bit for the Hornets. And I wonder if you might see them slip down the league a little bit. But I'm going to go for a quite impressive and decent and very good home win for the Rams. Derby County 3, Watford 0. Luton Town versus Preston North End. Well, finally, Rob Edwards has left his role as Luton boss. That writing has been on the wall for a long, long time. I think they were almost waiting for him to jump ship, and he eventually called time. And it's the Luton side that will be hoping that a new manager can come in now and breathe fresh life into this side, who, like Coventry City, are massively underperforming this season compared to the talent that they have in this squad. And they'll be hoping that they can get a home win over this Preston side. But this Preston side is a difficult side to play against. I continue to say that. They really should have beaten Oxford. How they didn't beat my beloved Oxford the other week, I will not know. But we managed to scramble away with a point. It was mainly down to Freddie Woodman gifting us a goal, let's be fair. But then we managed to scramble away with a point. And Heckingbottom will be annoyed about that one. And but I just think his sides are so hard to play against. I just think this one's going to be a draw as well. I'm going to go for Luton 1, Preston 1. Millwall versus Hull City. I don't expect this one to be an exciting game at all. Millwall are the kings of low-scoring affairs. I was actually amazed they got a 2-2 draw against Sheffield Wednesday quite recently. That's probably more of a detriment to Wednesday's defence, particularly when they're defending set pieces more than anything else. But I think this will be the usual service of a tight game at the New Den. And it's a game where I could really do with Millwall actually pulling out a result to keep Hull City below Oxford United. And I do just think that is what the Lions will get. There'll be a few fans just a little bit worried about their form in recent weeks. I think this will be a much needed victory for Alex Neil as he tries to win over these Millwall fans. And I think I'm going to go for a typical Millwall win. Millwall 1, Hull City 0. Oxford United versus Blackburn Rovers. This is got potential to be the hardest game that Gary Rowett will face as Oxford United boss so far. Blackburn have been superb this season and really well organised team under John Hughes, but I don't think they get enough credit for the football that they play as well. They beat Middlesbrough again at the Riverside in the FA Cup, and I just think this is going to be a really difficult game for Oxford United to get anything from it. I think Gary Rowett will probably set Oxford up like they are the away side and make it really hard and really tight. And I don't see many goals in this game at all. And I'm still very jaded from that disgraceful performance Oxford put in against Exeter in the FA Cup. But I am also bound by my golden rule. And if Oxford can win this one, my goodness, I will be jumping from the rooftops. Oh, please, 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 let's get it done. A narrow victory somehow, some way. Still waiting for that penalty, folks. Let's go for Oxford United 1, Blackburn Rovers 0. Portsmouth versus Middlesbrough is next up. I think this one could be a cracker of a game at Fratton Park. I actually think a lot of people will be thinking that Portsmouth can turn on some style and get the victory. It's the usual case that Pompey lose on the road and then go back to Fratton Park and get a good win. That seems to be the way of things of late. But there was a weird game they had against Sunderland. They ended it with 10 men, and they almost nearly nicked a point at the end. Sunderland really played with their food in that game and nearly came back to haunt them. But Portsmouth were also coming off the back of a disappointing defeat in the FA Cup to Wickham. Oh, God, it's been losing to Wickham. Terrible, terrible times. But I do also think you're going to get a response from John Mousinho's men here. I think Middlesbrough always going to give a side a chance at the back, but they are going to be pretty good going forward. I saw Atlanta FC from the MLS might be buying Latte Lat. What? How's that come about? How have they got the coin to come in and make that kind of a bid? I think it was something like 19 million. Any Borough fans watching that, let me know what you think about that one. But I think it's going to be a draw, a high-scoring draw, a Desmond, in fact. Portsmouth 2, Middlesbrough 2. Sheffield United versus Norwich City. The Blades, weird game in the FA Cup. What a weird game that was. It was almost like a exhibition game, almost like a COVID game, some people said, because it was so few fans in the stadium. I don't think Sheffield United would be too bothered about going out of the FA Cup because this promotion campaign is all that matters. New ownership, new times. What can that bring to Chrissy Wilder's side, who have been a little bit off the boil as they go through a bit of an injury crisis? But they'll be thinking that they can get a nice big win on the board, and that is what I think they will do. This Canaries side, this Norwich City side, I just think very, very up and down, very unpredictable, and usually do not travel very well. And I think that Sheffield United are going to get a handsome victory back at Fortress Bramall Lane, turn it back into a Fortress Chrissy Wilder. Sheffield United 3, Norwich City 0. West Bromwich Albion versus Stoke City, a tough one to call really, because both sides have improved over recent weeks after getting rid of a manager. In West Brom's case, he went to Valencia in Corberan, and the side have taken the handbrake off and started to be a bit more entertaining and score a few more goals. But this Stoke side are like renewed again. Renewed team. It's a new Stoke City side who have Mark Robbins in the hot seat as the Potters boss. And I just feel that Stoke are going to carry on that uptick in form. Tom Cannon banging in the goals. Is he going to stay, Stoke fans? Can you keep Tom Cannon, or is he going to go back and go off to somebody else on loan? But I think this one's got all the makings of being another draw at the Drawthorns. I'm going to go for West Brom 1, Stoke City 1. Leeds United versus Sheffield Wednesday.
Come on, Wednesday!
That's right, folks. A Yorkshire derby to round us off on the Sunday. And I am worried for the Owls in this game. They usually are pretty decent on their travels, but coming up against Leeds United at Fortress Ellen Road, I just don't think they're going to have much of a chance. And maybe I'm being foolish and crazy because Danny Roll's men have pulled off a lot of surprises, particularly away from home, and are usually very resilient when they go a goal down. But I just feel Wednesday's defence leaves a lot to be desired for, especially defending set pieces. They look all over the place every time they defend corners and free kicks into their box. And I just think Leeds are going to be too strong for them. And I think it's going to end up being a big win for the Whites as well. So maybe look away, Wednesday fans, because when the wheels fall off for Wednesday, they do tend to fall off in quite spectacular fashion. I'm going to go for Leeds United 4, Sheffield Wednesday 1. That is it, folks. That's it for week number 27 of predictions. There's midweek rounds coming up next week, so there'll be even more predictions coming from me. So keep watching the channel, keep subscribing to the channel, keep leaving your comments and predictions down below. I do appreciate all of the support, and I'll be back very soon, and I'll leave it to Leonard Nimoy to bring us home.
My work is done here.
What do you mean your work is done? You didn't do anything.
Didn't I?